sticks, as you. Hi and welcome to another PK TV. So we're going to take a look at the most anticipated phones of 2013 and part of 2014. We have the Nexus 5 in red. We have the HTC One M7 64GB as well as the iPhone 5s 64GB. So they're all pretty much one of the most top spec phones of each particular company. Nexus 5 being the flagship for Google, HTC One being the flagship for HTC, and obviously the iPhone 5s being the flagship phone of Apple. So let's see them all side by side. So we've got obviously the Nexus 5 on the left, and we have obviously the HTC One M7 and of course the iPhone 5s. Now, just putting them all together, they look pretty much the same, with the Nexus 5 being probably the biggest phone out of all of them on the left, and then we have the HTC One on the right, which has a really nice screen. It's got a more denser pixel density than all the rest of them. So we've got Nexus 5 screen, and we've got the better coloration on the HTC One. So it's more accurate on the HTC One. So if we look at the iPhone 5s, it's also very accurate. But let's look at the back here. So we've got a metal and glass design on the iPhone 5s, and then we've got an all aluminium unibody construction on the HTC One, very good quality. And then we've got a sort of hard plastic rubbery feel to the Nexus 5, being the lowest quality out of all three of these particular phones. But we look at all the screens here, you can probably see the one that stands out the most is the HTC One, because it is a brilliant screen. The color accuracy and everything you can think of is brilliant. Now let's look at the notification menu here. So the notification menu, one's running the 4.4 KitKat, and then we've got 4.3 Jelly Bean, as well as notification center and of course the control center for your quick settings. And then of course we've got quick settings, and then we've got notifications on Android. As you can see, it's a very different situation here, swiping for notifications on Android as well as using the X to get rid of the other notifications on iOS. Let's look at the applications here. We've got the app drawer for KitKat on the Nexus 5, and then we've got 4.3 HTC Sense, 5.5 app drawer. As you can see, it's a very different story here. One's more simplified on the Nexus 5, and then we've got something more TouchWiz like. Now we have obviously the iPhone doesn't have an app drawer because all your apps are available to you pretty much on every home screen. So back to the home screens again. As you can see, the home screens here are a very different story. We've got KitKat running the notification center. We've got different settings here, so you can look at the settings menu for each individual phone. You can see they're completely different. You've got the Sense version of settings, you've got the stock Android version of settings, and then you've got iOS's version of settings. You see the difference is quite different, as you can see there, the way things are structured. We've got something that's completely stock KitKat Android, and then we've got 4.3 Sense, HTC Sense 5.5, and then we've got obviously the settings from what it looks like on the iPhone 5s. Completely different, completely changed. It's really up to you on what you like. It's all preference, as they say, and they all function pretty much all the same these days. So it doesn't matter which particular phone you have, they're very excellent phones, as you can see. And then we've got different control schemas here. We've got the capacitive buttons on HTC One, we've got software buttons on the Nexus 5, and we've got one solid physical button on the iPhone 5s. So very different control patterns here. As you can see, As you can see down the bottom here, we've got the speaker grills. Now the speakers here is really just one speaker. It's very much like the iPhone 5S. The other part is actually just decoration for the microphone. And we look at the iPhone 5S, it's the same sort of deal, except the earphone head jack is on the bottom. But it's one speaker plus one microphone. But when we're looking at sound, we need to look at something like the HTC One with boom sound. It's got full stereo, and nothing beats this on the market. HTC One still beats you on any mobile phone. Sound quality is excellent. Okay, let's flip the phones over and take a look at the back here so we can see different materials, different colors. The cameras at the back here, we've got a 8 megapixel shooter on the Nexus 5. We've got a ultra pixel 4 megapixel camera for the HTC, and we have the 8 megapixel camera on the iPhone 5S. Now, out of all the cameras, I would have to say they all have their pluses and minuses, but if I had to choose, I would definitely go for the iPhone's camera. Alright, let's look at music apps. So we've got, obviously, Google Music on every device, since it's supported on Android and iOS. So let's take a look at Play Music, or Google Music. As you can see, this is what they look like on each one. You can probably see that the colors look very nice on the iOS version as well as the HTC version, where it's a little bit washed out on the Nexus 5 version, but not very much. It's still really, really nice looking. But as you can see, it runs exactly the same. It's pretty much exactly the same Google Play. You can play some music, you can look at any of your tracks, you can do whatever you want. Pretty much it's all there, it's all good, basically. If we look at the iOS version, it's similar and very much the same. Now let's take a look at some of the sound quality here. Okay, so that's music. So basically you can hear the sound quality between each individual type of phone. It's very different indeed. You can probably hear that the one that succeeds as to be the most clearest is probably the HTC One, because the speakers are front facing and the boom sound is very, very bassy. So basically the microphone was pointing directly at these phones, so basically the best one to pick it up on the microphone was basically the HTC One. So let's take a look at the multitasking menus here. So we're looking at the HTC One, where you've got pretty much you swipe up like on iOS, and we've got the Android stock version where we swipe to the left or right, as you can see, and to get out we press the home button. So that's pretty much a unique thing about them. But let's take a look at the home screens here. So you can see a lot of those are very much the same. So let's look at the here. We've got an IR blaster at the top there on the HTC One. We've got TV application, that type of stuff. It's the only one out of all three of these that actually has that ability. This is a HTC thing. On this particular one, you can't get it on an iPhone, you can't get it on the Nexus 5 because there is no IR blaster, but you'll get stuff like this on flagship devices, much like the HTC or the Samsung devices like the S4 or Note 3. So as you can see, it's pretty much very simple here. Searching applications or searching content is basically on the iPhone, and if you want to go swipe to the left, you can see the blink feed of all your social media and everything like that, as well as searching. Whereas on the Nexus 5 you have Google Now when you swipe to the left, and you can see it's a very different story here. So the iPhone doesn't really have that type of feature. It's pretty much whatever you have is what you have. Use applications only. So it's pretty self-explanatory here. You can see that the layouts here of the home screens, adding applications is very different in KitKat, as you can see with the Nexus 5, adding widgets, that type of stuff. This is pretty much really straightforward. You just drag and drop basically onto any home screen you want. You have infinite home screens. There is no limit that you can have. It's the beauty of Android 4.4 KitKat. Whereas with the HTC, you're limited to about 7 home screens, and you pretty much have to choose what you want to put on there. But you can actually, you can put as many applications as you want in there, but you're pretty limited on what you want to actually put in. You have to rely pretty much on basic apps that you want to have. As you can see, you can just drag and drop stuff, and if you want to get rid of it, you just have to go to the top and put it in the remove. As you can see right there. Same thing with icons, very Android-like, as you can see right there. It's the same thing. Swipe to the top, so that's not too bad. App drawer, very different story. As you can see, you got a grid view on one where you have to scroll up, and then you got the other way as well. You can't actually just drag and drop from the app drawer like you can on a Nexus. On the HTC, you have to actually go in to a special apps menu to actually drag and drop stuff onto the home screen, which is a bit annoying. But Nexus 5 simplicity, HTC not really. As you can see, it's really easy to take apps from the app drawer. Whereas the iPhone doesn't really need that functionality because it basically has the apps all there. If you want to get rid of an app, you just drag and drop, hold and drag, and if you want to get rid of an app completely, you just hold onto it and you press the X, and that will delete the app completely. Whereas on Android, you actually have to uninstall it, much like Windows. But as you can see right here, we've got our widgets for the iPhone. As you can see, we've got tweets here, we've got Facebook, we've got news and weather, stocks, that's calendar. They're all the widgets that are currently in Notification Center, and that's all you get. So this is what 3 of the best phones of 2013 and part of 2014 revisited. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.